Welcome to the deep dive. You know, we're diving into a topic today that you specifically requested.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so we're going to be taking a look at conjunctions.
All right.
And, you want to really kind of become a master of these words
Yeah.
and really make your writing, like, clear and engaging and persuasive.
Definitely. Yeah. We're going to unpack not just what they are, but how they actually work in a sentence.
Yeah.
And all the different ways that they can kind of subtly change the meaning of what you're writing.
It's like a secret weapon.
Yeah, it is.
It's like a secret weapon of writing.
It's true.
Okay, so we're not just going to, like, cover the basic definition of a conjunction.
No.
We're going to really get into it.
We're going deep.
Yeah, we're going deep. Okay, so where do we start with this?
Well, I think a good place to start is to just think about a sentence as like a bridge.
Okay.
All the different parts of the sentence are like the beams and the supports, and the conjunctions are like the rivets that are holding it all together.
Oh, I like that visual.
Yeah,
So, like, the wrong rivets could make the whole bridge weaker.
exactly. If you use the wrong conjunction or even just too many of the same ones, it can really weaken your writing.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the different types of conjunctions.
Yeah.
What are we dealing with here?
So we'll definitely cover the different types. But I think before we get into the categories, it's helpful to think about them in terms of like what kind of relationships they create between ideas.
Okay, so not just memorizing definitions, but how they're actually used.
Right, because some conjunctions show that two ideas are like equal.
Yeah.
And then other conjunctions show that one idea is dependent on the other, and others can introduce contrast or cause and effect.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So how do these different relationships, like, play out in the different categories?
Right. So let's start with coordinating conjunctions.
Okay.
These are the ones that you probably use most often.
Like, and, but, or?
Yeah, exactly. And these are the ones that connect two parts of a sentence that are like grammatically equal. And you probably remember this acronym from school, fanboys.
Oh, yeah. Fanboys, for and, nor but or yet.
Exactly.
I mean, I've heard of fanboys,
Yeah.
but, sometimes I forget how to use them all.
It's understandable. It's not just about knowing the words themselves.
Right.
It's about understanding how they can change the meaning of a sentence.
Okay, so let's talk about that. What are some of the things we should be looking for?
Okay, well, so let's take but as an example.
Okay.
So, like, it was raining, but we went for a walk anyway.
Right. So it's like, yeah, it was raining,
Yeah,
but we still did this thing.
exactly. So it implies that the rain might have been a reason to stay inside, but you went anyway.
Right.
But what if you use yet instead? So it was raining, yet we went for a walk.
It's a little more subtle.
Yeah,
Like the rain was less of a problem.
exactly. Yet often suggests a milder contrast.
Okay.
It acknowledges there's a potential conflict, but it highlights like the unexpected outcome.
Okay, so just changing one word can really change the emphasis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's just one example.
Wow. Every single one of the coordinating conjunctions has these kinds of nuances.
Okay.
So like for is another interesting one. It explains a reason, but it feels much more formal than just saying because.
Right. She was tired she had been working all day.
Exactly.
Old-fashioned.
Yeah, exactly. And then let's say you want to connect two negative ideas.
Okay.
Nor is going to be your conjunction for that.
She doesn't like coffee, nor does she like tea.
Perfect.
Okay.
It emphasizes that both options are unacceptable.
So even within this one category, we have a lot of choices to make.
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay. This is already blowing my mind.
I told you, conjunctions were more interesting than you thought.
So we talked about situations where the two parts of the sentences are equal.
Right.
But what about those times where they aren't?
Well, that's where subordinating conjunctions come in.
Okay.
These are like the architects of complex sentences.
Ooh.
They create relationships of dependency between the clauses.
Okay, tell me more. All right, we'll think about it like a main character and a supporting character.
Okay.
The subordinating conjunction shows how that supporting character relates to the main character.
Oh, so it's like this part of the sentences is the star.
Yes.
And this part is like the sidekick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the subordinating conjunction is what clarifies what that sidekick's role is.
So are they giving us background information or, setting a challenge or something?
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So what are some common subordinating conjunctions?
You've probably used a lot of them without realizing it.
Oh, yeah.
Words like because, although, if, when, while, since.
Yeah, I use those all the time.
Yeah, exactly. But now you'll start noticing them everywhere.
Okay.
And you'll see how they really help create that flow and logic in writing.
This is so cool. Okay, I can't wait to explore this more.
Oh, we're going to get there.
But for now, let's move on to our last category.
Okay.
What have we got?
We've got correlative conjunctions.
Correlative conjunction.
These are the dynamic duos of the conjunction world.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Dynamic duos.
They are powerful.
It sounds important.
They always work in pairs
Okay.
to connect two parts of a sentence, and they create this balance and emphasis.
So it's like they're holding hands, making sure that
Yes.
both parts get equal attention.
Exactly. So you're thinking of pairs like both and, either or, neither nor.
Oh, yeah, okay. I use those all the time.
Not only, but also
Yeah.
whether or.
But I never thought about them as like a special category.
Well, now you know.
Okay.
And you'll start to see how they can add a touch of, like, elegance to your writing.
I'm excited to learn more. This is so much more interesting than I thought it was going to be.
I told you.
Okay, so we got coordinating conjunctions, subordinating conjunctions,
Yes.
correlative conjunctions. Is that all of them?
Those are the main ones.
Okay.
But there are some more nuanced ones out there.
Okay.
We'll touch on those a little bit later.
All right, so before we move on, can we take a look at some examples?
Absolutely. Let's start with those coordinating conjunctions.
Okay.
Remember our M boys?
Oh, yeah, I'll never forget them now.
Good. So let's see how they actually work in real sentences.
Okay.
So take this example. She wanted to go to the party, but she had to work late.
Okay, so there's that contrast
Yeah.
between her desire and her obligation.
Exactly. It really highlights that conflict.
Right.
Now, what if we swapped out but for yet? She wanted to go to the party, yet she had to work late.
That feels different.
Yeah.
It's still a conflict,
Hmm.
but it feels like, oh, well, she had to work.
Right.
Like it's too bad.
Exactly. You're getting it.
Okay.
So yet often introduces that sense of like resignation
Oh,
or acceptance,
Okay.
whereas but can feel more resistant
Okay.
or defiant.
I see. So it really does make a difference
Yeah.
what tiny words could
It's
do.
amazing.
That is amazing. Okay, well, there's so much more to talk about,
Yes, there is.
but we're going to have to save it for part 2.
We are.
So until then, listeners, start paying attention to the conjunctions you're using
Yeah.
and the ones that you're reading.
Good idea.
And you might be surprised what you discover.
It will be.
Okay, see you in part 2.
Bye.
Welcome back to the deep dive.
So last time we really started like unpacking conjunctions. And we saw how those coordinating conjunctions that
Right.
the M-fan boys
Yes.
do more than just like connect equal parts of a sentence.
They do. They do.
They can actually like add those subtle shifts of meaning and tone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as we continue, you'll see how this applies to all the types of conjunctions. It's about really understanding the tools that you have at your disposal.
Okay, cool. So where do we go next? What other conjunction secrets are you ready to reveal?
Okay, so let's move beyond those independent clauses for a minute
Okay.
and look at what happens when one idea kind of relies on another.
Okay.
That's when those subordinating conjunctions come in.
Right. We touched on these a little bit in part 1. We did.
They're like the architects of complex sentences.
Exactly. Think of them as like bridges between a main idea and its supporting details.
Okay.
Words, like because, although if since
Yeah.
all those fall into this category.
Okay, so they help us show how the different parts of the sentences relate to each other.
Precisely.
Got it.
So let's take because and since, for example.
Okay.
Both of them can indicate a cause and effect relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But since often implies that it's like a more established or widely accepted reason.
Okay, can you give me an example of that?
Yeah, sure. So like I ate lunch because I was hungry,
Okay, straightforward.
but I ate lunch since it was already noon.
Okay.
Suggests that it's like a routine thing.
Right.
It's just what you do at noon.
So it's still explaining why I eat lunch.
Yes,
But the conjunction is changing the emphasis a little bit.
exactly.
Oh.
And this kind of like nuanced meaning is what makes writing more engaging and sophisticated.
Yeah, it's not just about avoiding grammar mistakes.
No.
It's about choosing the right tool for the job.
You got it.
Okay, so these subordinating conjunctions are everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any tips for using them well?
Yeah, a common pitfall is overusing the same subordinating conjunction, especially at the beginning of a sentence.
Oh, yeah.
So it's grammatically correct, but if you start too many sentences with because or
I
although,
think it gets repetitive.
it can make your writing sound really monotonous.
Okay, so variety is key,
Yeah.
but how do you do that without making your sentences sound weird?
Well, one thing you can do is rearrange the sentence structure.
Okay.
So instead of saying because it was raining, we stayed inside, you could say we stayed inside because it was raining.
Right, just flip it.
Exactly. Another tip is to just use a variety of subordinating conjunctions to show different types of relationships. So, like, although be can create contrast, while indicates that two things are happening at the same time.
Although I was tired, I finished the project.
Yes.
Versus, I listened to music while I worked on the project.
Perfect.
It's amazing how much difference those little words make.
I know. And speaking of tiny words that pack a punch,
Ooh.
let's move on to our final category.
Okay.
Correlative conjunctions.
Correlative conjunction.
These are the dynamic duos
Yes.
that we mentioned before.
The power couples of conjunctions.
I like that.
I'm excited to hear how they can elevate my writing.
Okay, so these conjunctions, they're all about balance and symmetry.
Okay.
They really highlight the relationship between the two parts of the sentence, and often they emphasize equality or choice.
So those pairs, both and, either or,
Yes.
neither nor,
Exactly.
they always make things sound a little fancy.
They do. So think about a sentence like, she is both intelligent and kind.
Okay.
That correlative conjunction is showing us that she has both of those qualities equally.
Right. And it feels like complete.
Yes.
It's not just that she's intelligent. It's both.
Exactly. And the same principle applies to all the others.
Right.
Either you stay or you go. Those are your choices.
Two options.
Right. Neither the cat nor the dog wanted to go outside.
Okay.
So they're both expressing the same feeling.
Okay, so they're great for showing equality or choice or like shared qualities. Are there any traps we should avoid when using them?
Yeah, a common mistake is to use correlative conjunctions with elements that aren't parallel.
Okay.
So like saying, she enjoys both reading and to write.
Oh, yeah, that sounds wrong.
It should be, she enjoys both reading and writing.
Right. Keep those verbs consistent.
Exactly.
Okay.
So maintaining that parallel structure is really important.
Okay, I'm taking notes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just about using the right words.
Yeah.
It's about making sure that the grammar is correct.
Exactly.
And that's what makes your writing clear.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
I feel like we've just scratched the surface of the world of conjunctions.
We have. There's always more to learn.
Okay.
But in part 3, we're going to give you some practical tips for using all these conjunctions effectively.
We'll talk about how to avoid the common pitfalls and really master those subtle nuances.
Okay.
And we'll also touch on some of those less common conjunctions.
Cool. I can't wait. This has been so helpful.
Okay.
I feel like I've learned so much already.
I'm glad.
So listeners, join us for the final part of our conjunction adventure in part 3. Welcome back to the deep dive.
We've been on this incredible journey, exploring the world of conjunctions.
It has been quite the adventure.
It has, from those amboys
Yes,
to
it is.
subordinating and correlative conjunctions.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have. And, it's amazing how much these tiny little words can change how we communicate.
It really is.
Yeah.
We've seen how they can help us clarify those relationships between ideas.
Right.
Add some nuance. Make our writing more sophisticated, and even change the tone and the impact of our message.
It's like they're these tiny little secret weapons.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, so I feel like I've learned so much.
Okay.
But now I want to know how to put all this knowledge into practice. Yeah, that's the important part, right?
It is. So how do we actually use conjunctions more effectively?
All right, well, remember that usage tips section from your source material.
Oh, yeah.
It's full of practical advice.
Okay, all right.
So one of the most important things is to just be mindful of the rhythm and flow of your writing.
Okay.
Conjunctions can help create smoother transitions.
Right, like we talked about in part 1.
Yeah.
Too many short sentences can make your writing sound choppy.
Exactly.
And kind of immature.
So, for example, let's say you have 2 sentences. She was exhausted. She decided to go to bed early.
Okay.
You could just combine them with and. She was exhausted and she decided to go to bed early. But you could also say, since she was exhausted, she decided to go to bed early.
Okay, so now we're using since to show that cause and effect relationship.
Exactly. It makes it more sophisticated.
And it sounds better.
Yeah.
It flows better.
Right? So it's not just about connecting the sentences.
Right.
It's about choosing the conjunction that shows the right relationship between the ideas.
Oh, I see. Okay. So another tip that I remember from the source material was about overusing conjunctions.
Yes.
Especially those coordinating conjunctions like an, but
Right.
at the beginning of sentences.
It can make your writing sound a little repetitive.
Yeah, and informal.
Yeah.
I'm definitely guilty of that one.
It's fine to use them sometimes.
Yeah.
But if you overuse them,
Right.
it weakens your writing.
Right.
Try to use a variety.
Okay, so it's all about like creating that balance and sophistication.
Exactly.
What other tips should we keep in mind?
Okay, well, the source material also talks about subordinating conjunctions
Mm-hmm.
and how they can help you create these clear, logical connections between ideas.
Right, so we're explaining why things happen.
Yes.
Or how they're related.
Exactly. So instead of just saying, like, he worked hard, he was successful,
Okay.
you could say, because he worked hard, he was successful.
Oh, okay. So just adding that because makes it stronger,
Exactly.
more persuasive.
It shows that the hard work was the reason for the success.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're like little bridges that connect the ideas.
They are.
Okay. And what about those correlative conjunctions?
Yes, those elegant pairs.
The dynamic duos.
I like that.
I love that phrase.
Yeah.
Not only do they sound fancy,
Yeah.
but they also create that balance and symmetry
They do.
that we talked about.
So remember, the key is to make sure that you have parallel structure.
Right.
Both and.
If you're connecting two verbs, they have to be in the same form.
Exactly.
Okay.
That attention to detail makes your writing so much better.
Okay. This has been amazing.
I agree.
I feel like I understand conjunctions so much better now.
Good. I'm glad to hear it.
But now I'm also kind of sad that our deep dive's coming to an end.
Well, all good things must come to an end.
I guess so. But is there anything else you want to leave our listeners with?
I would just say, keep experimenting.
Okay.
Pay attention to how other writers are using conjunctions.
Mm.
And most importantly,
Just keep writing.
Right, the more you write,
The better you'll get.
the more confident you'll feel.
Yeah. Language is always changing.
Is.
So there's always more to learn.
That is so true. Okay, well, on that note,
Yes.
we've reached the end of our conjunction deep dive.
We have.
We hope you've enjoyed it
I hope so.
as much as we have.
Me too.
And we hope you'll join us again for another deep dive into the world of language.
Yes, definitely. Happy writing.
Happy writing. Bye.